Okay.
All right. We're rolling. Prop 113. This preserves the right of workers to have a secret ballot in elections. Name a local politician you kind of like. Okay. And I've seen some Go-Star songs. Okay, you kind of like. Some people like Go-Star. That's a lot tougher up here than it is in Mesa. It's a lot tougher. Mesa, you know, or Gilbert, people are like, oh yeah, they're naming all their state legislators, you know what. A lot of you like Go-Star. But what if Go-Star comes to your house with a couple of heavies, with, you know, look like they might have baseball bats in their truck, and says, okay, we're getting rid of this secret ballot. You know how you used to vote in secret for elections? Well, it's not the way we're doing it anymore, because we just passed something called card check, and card check now applies, it doesn't, but card check now applies to all elections. So what we need you to do, instead of going to a ballot booth and signing in secret, I need you to sign right here in front of everybody that you are supporting me for Congress. I think most of you would be pretty uncomfortable with the implications of that scenario. That is exactly what big labor wants to do in labor elections here in America. That's the whole point of card check. How many of you have heard of card check? Okay. Imagine you're a Democratic congressman or congresswoman. You'd have to give your people card check, wouldn't you, in the lame duck? I mean, I think we might be able to beat it, but I'm not so sure. I think they're probably going to pass card check. I mean, you'd have to. These people got you in office. They're the biggest interest group that got you in. I think you'd have to give that to, even if you're a lame ducker, you know you're on your way out, you're looking for a job after you leave Congress. So I figured you've got to give those guys card checks. So I figure we're going to get it. I don't know for sure. We're going to try to fight it, but it's going to be tough. We're going to try to defund it after January. Does that make sense? Okay. Same thing with Obamacare. We're going to defund Obamacare, I believe, after January if present trends continue. But what we're looking at with card check is probably going to go through. But this, again, is another situation where if you pass Prop 113 here in Arizona, we're actually going to do something at the state level and have a good fight at the federal level. What it will do is, at the state level, is enshrine the right to have a secret ballot in labor representation elections in the Arizona Constitution. That will immediately help the situation here in Arizona in a lot of cases. Card check only applies to National Labor Relations Board governed employment. There's a lot of employment here in Arizona, including way too much government employment, which is governed not by NLRB. So this is a situation where we will actually protect workers who work for government schools and who work in government in general, government workers. This is actually hugely popular, as we've seen the polling, and I can pull the crosstabs for you if you want. But this is hugely popular among workers and including union workers. Even a lot of union workers don't, well, you know how if you're familiar with union politics, sometimes you like one little union that represents you and your views or whatever. I know a friend who belongs to the conservative cops union, police union in Tucson. But what if they make a move to take over the whole thing via card check with the big union you don't like? So, or what if you're a worker and you just don't want a union? So a lot of workers and union workers included like this proposition because it really is about workers' rights. If people start talking, the other side wants to talk about how this is a fight between big labor, or they call labor, and big business. And for a lot of us, you know, we're not all very fond of corporations or whatever, so we don't necessarily care. We say, especially the average person sees big labor and big corporations duking it out in Washington, who cares? The reality, though, is this is about workers' rights. This is about your ability to decide your employee representation without having somebody lean in on you and breathing heavy down your neck and making you publicly declare.
What is the advantage? I don't understand the argument of people who want card check.
What's the rationale for it?
Unions.
Why was
they
I mean, it's the classic labor argument, which is based on several premises. One of which is that business is inherently unfair to workers. Another big premise is that unions actually do something productive to help workers.
I I understand the support for unions, but what is the
That's the
support?
argument. That's,
Why do they want the vote out in the open?
they want it out in the open because it's much harder to say no to union representation when you got a couple of big guys standing around her. And, you know, I was joking down in Scottsdale.
Only justification.
How many of you have seen On the Waterfront? You're my brother, Charlie. Yeah. You're supposed to look out for me. You know, I could have been a contender. Instead, I got one way ticket to Palookaville. That's, you've seen that, you know. So you all remember the union violence from On the Waterfront and all that. So I was making a joke in Scottsdale. I said that, talking to people and said that, you know, it's not really like that anymore. The unions are not really that violent, although people back east have told me differently. But one gal who's a teacher told me that the situation was so bad, it wasn't like they were coming in and physically intimidating her, but they actually brought in union representatives into her classroom. They went into the classroom and harassed her in front of students. Wow. Basically insulted her in front of students to try to get her to sign up. You know, and she didn't want to, and she was principal, she's still a Republican and all that, whatever. But yeah, I mean that's pretty rough. And then, you know, we're talking. Some people I've talked to say, yeah, it'd be better if they just broke my legs and stopped the harassment. Just break my legs and go away. But anyway, so this is hugely important. Also, if you are of the Republican persuasion, I'm just going to connect the little dots on this one for you. It should be pretty obvious. When people join unions, generally, whatever their political persuasion is, the union tends to support one political party. Which party? Democrats. Okay. Last cycle, unions nationwide spent about something like $1/3 billion, something like $1/3 billion on political elections. And I think that's just the above-the-board official money. It looks like that above-the-board official money could go to about $1 billion if card check goes through, because they'll get a lot more members nationwide. So this thing will protect us in Arizona, but what does it do at the federal level, right? Because Congress, whatever they do, you know, they dish stuff out and we just got to eat it, right? Well, again, this is a situation, this is not a case of, hey Tom, do you think the unions will sue us over Prop 113? We don't think they will, we know they will. They will absolutely sue us once this is in the Arizona Constitution. Or at least, or we'll figure out a way to sue them. We're going to have a lawsuit about this. It's going to go to the Supreme Court or high up in the federal court system. And we're going to have, again, a situation where the majority of the court is going to have to try to figure out, does Congress's power to regulate NLRB governed union elections, does that supersede the state of Arizona's power to do what it wants in certain areas? And it's the same question as we have in the healthcare thing, and we have a very strong feeling, especially ever since Taft-Hartley, that they've cut out some room for states to wiggle on labor issues, and we feel like we will prevail on this one as well. But again, yes.
I'm sorry, is this a commerce issue, where they're charged with regulating interstate commerce? Is that what it comes under?
Yeah, it's all the commerce issue. I mean, all the stuff you know is unconstitutional is supposedly.
Okay, but I mean that's where they're saying they have the power is because okay, thank you.
I have one thought before I'll take a couple of questions. If you find out whatever that this looks like it's going to pass by 75%, still keep handing it out. We don't just want to win this battle against card check or even to knock down the federal legislation. We want to kill this idea of taking away people's secret ballot. And so the bigger we win on this one, the better. Yes, sir.
Yeah, go ahead, sir.
Oh, it used to be that unions had open vote, and then they're the ones that pushed the secret ballot. Now they want it back.
You know what? I actually don't know the history of that, but I have heard people say that is that one of the reasons that they liked the secret ballot, or that they wanted this, some union people wanted the secret ballot, was because they were worried about employers leaning on people and being able to know which employees had voted for the union.
Now they want to reverse it.
Yeah.
Well, when you got the secret ballot, who's looking over that to see that the count is correct and whatever? If you have an open vote, at least, I mean, if we did an open vote in this room, there's no way that anybody can mess with the vote. When we all did a secret ballot and it goes up there and you count it and maybe a couple of your cronies, then we look and say, well, you know I didn't vote for it. And My buddy didn't vote for it, and he didn't vote for it, but somehow it passed. Who voted for it, you know?
Yeah, but a lot of people feel
Threatened?
comforted because the union will come around to them beforehand and say, "Hey, you're with us, right?" And everybody goes,
Oh, yeah.
"Oh, yeah, sure." And then and then it's up to the union to figure out, like, okay, wait a minute, we thought we had 85% of the people in the company, but we only got 30% of the vote in the secret ballot, and then they go back to square one on that one. I think secret ballots are a good way to go.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
To me, it is a first step of erosion towards our right for a secret ballot in the polling place. Right.
I don't know. The original version, I live on a lot of slippery slope arguments, but the original version of this was actually designed to make sure that all elections in Arizona, no matter what, were going to be, that were mandated by any kind of government body, were going to be subject to secret
They
ballots.
should be.
Most of them already are, but I don't know. It's one of those things because it's kind of funny. I do understand the slippery slope element of that, but just to be intellectually honest, I think sometimes people are able to cut out compartments. They can say, well, that's okay for labor, but, I mean, I find it repugnant, but I like the secret ballot and everything. At least I think so, except around the breakfast table. I think my wife and I, we vote for no more cake for Abigail. It's good to have a united front. And but yeah, I agree. I think it's a bad precedent.
Well, I was just going to say, I think the lady is right in that the way progressives work, they try to get their foot in the door with a precedent, and then they build upon that. And I think she's correct in that, you start it in one place, then there's another place, and then pretty soon it spreads to the general election.
Yeah. I have the feeling that in most elections it would be hard to, I have the feeling it's going to be hard to get over that hill for anybody that wants to get rid of secret ballots. I think it's going to be hard. I hope it's hard. Okay, can we move on to 107?